Hornets Celtics tonight. Who better to talk about all of that than Wes Bryant, the Bally Sports Charlotte Hornets insider? He joins us today on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
You are Locked On Hornets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
In a minute, cuz we live.
It's Locked On Hornets. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Local experts on the #1 daily sports podcast network. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. PrizePicks has the best NBA DFS prop game on the market, so check them out at prizepicks.com. Also check us out, Walker Mail on Twitter, Doug Branson, LOH, Locked On Hornets, also on YouTube. We're at 950, something like that, Doug? 950 subscribers?
Yeah, we're over 950, so we're on the back
close.
half. And
Why am I disgusted?
Wes Bryant has already left the camera zone. It's a good show and tell. No, it's a great way to start the show. I love it.
I do too, man. Like Wes is a wild card. Wild card Wednesdays is what it should be.
You can only see this on the YouTube channel. We're promoting the YouTube channel.
This has become his move. Like there he goes, just across the screen. I love the chaotic nature of it. Like
it's what makes him a brilliant on-screen talent is his unpredictability.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So it's Wes Wednesdays. There he is, coming into focus. He went to go get something. What was so important that you?
I
had
went to
go?
get the headphones, so then we would not have to worry about the pressure washing. Because I noticed, I said, well, how would the headphones look? But you guys have on, so why don't I join you?
Sure,
the headphones gang.
Headphone gang.
I'm
Hashtag
actually at the station right now, and so look at this play-by-play, like classic. I think I put it on backwards so it would be gone. Hold on one second. Booyah! Right here.
It's a great start to the show, by the way.
Look at this thing. If you go to YouTube, you can check it out. It looks like I'm doing the classic Catawba County high school play-by-play regional spot in the playoffs.
Minute.
That's what I look like. I'm just going to put this right here. I look ridiculous right now with two mics in my face, the one that Doug gave me and the one that is attached to the headphone. Wes, you look good. We appreciate you hopping on. Follow him on Twitter, at WesGotRange. Follow him on the gram there as well. I think this is the first time you've not worn a Hornets-related thing, though. What do you got on for us today? Just a bright orange hoodie.
Yeah, man, from homage is actually the red of my Niners.
There you go. Okay.
We took the L this weekend. It was painful, but these things happen.
It does happen in sports, and hell, I would love to lose a conference championship game if I'm a Charlotte Hornet. It means we got there for the first time in franchise history, and we'll see what happens with this Hornets team as the years go on, as really what is something that is trying to be built like that kind of roster, and yet it's really hard to win games without Gordon Hayward, Kelly Oubre, and a Jalen McDaniels. And I think that's something James Borrego tried to express earlier this week, Wes, where they lose to the Clippers. It was a bad loss, especially in the fourth quarter. But he was sure to point out, I'm not going to panic. I'm not going to panic when you have three important rotation players out there. Is that how you kind of see it, where, hey, yeah, they lost to the Clippers, but there's a lot of important pieces that didn't go out there on the court?
I think to an extent, yes. The thing that was the most jarring to me about that loss was just that the three-point woes kind of showed back up again. I think it was the fifth time in 6 games they had shot under 35% from three, with a couple of really, really bad shooting nights in there. So I think that I thought they had enough to beat the Clippers. The Clippers are missing, obviously, Kawhi and PG. And so I thought they had enough to beat them. And especially to lose to them the way that they did, I thought was really tough. They shot the ball really bad. The Clippers are pretty good defensively, and JB pointed that out. He talked about the length and the way they play defense and how it bothered them. And they made it tough for the Hornets at the rim, as well as shooting the three as well. But I think, as I said, I thought they had enough. And I just was surprised that the three-point shooting woes continued to show up in this game.
Well, I think that kind of does go to a little bit of Gordon's absence along with Kelly Oubre, who's been lights out from the perimeter too. And so when you have those, and Jalen has been hit or miss, but he can certainly hit them. What about you, Doug? Do you buy into what James Borrego is saying, that you're not really panicking, or there's still some things that you look at that Clippers game and said, hey, okay, like no excuses though. There still should have been a better effort, certainly defensively, and it's going to be tough to score against those really defensive-minded teams.
Yeah, the Hornets don't have a roster such that you can miss, 3 legitimate rotation pieces and expect to easily win. You have to give 100% effort, and you have to have a little luck and a little moxie, and keep cool under pressure. They failed to do some of those things. And a lot of the 3-point shooting woes that Wes mentioned has been a big factor into that. A lot of games left, and the Brooklyn Nets are suffering from a lot of losses right now, and they seem to be falling back to the Charlotte Hornets, who are still in reach of not only the 6th seed, but maybe even the 5th or 4th seed. So there's a lot of time left. So I get the idea that they're not panicking. Let's see what happens. It looks like Kelly Oubre is going to play tonight against the Boston Celtics. So we'll get an idea of if the Hornets can bounce back.
Yeah, I know it's tough to lose 3 rotation players, but after you had that excellent stretch of basketball, you lose to the Magic, and it was a bad loss. But before that, the 2 wins against the Bucks, the win against Philly, the streak-ending win again against the Celtics on the road in Boston. Boom, you blow out the Thunder. Okay, ever since that game against OKC, it's been kind of tough for them shooting, except for the monster explosion they had against Indiana. But tough shooting night against Atlanta. Same thing against Toronto. Indiana happens. But then you don't even play all that well against the Lakers, but they were down their 2 biggest stars too, and then you lose to the Clippers. Like, it's not been a good, I wouldn't call it a good recent stretch of basketball for Charlotte as they're going into this game against Boston. Wes, what do you think? How have they been playing? Is it strictly the shot, or is there some other things that you're paying attention to also?
I think I would just point to the 3-point shooting again, because like I said, this is one of the team's top 3 in the league as far as field goal percentage from 3. And so, but we also know the Hornets get to the paint a lot as well. They're one of the best teams in the league at scoring in the paint. So I think the ebbs and flows of a season when you go 82 games, because if you look at it, outside of the Phoenix Suns, maybe, I don't know really a team that's really suffered through a lot of adversity that has not suffered through some of adversity. So with the Hornets, maybe you just feel like this is just a part of the season. And as you said, the guys that have been missing, especially Oubre, because let's not deny he may not be percentage-wise, because I believe it's Cody, but he's the best shooter on this team. When you just talk about volume of shots and consistency and how many he hits. Missing him from the offense definitely takes some explosiveness out of, especially when you talk about the second unit coming in there and what he delivers. But Jalen's a guy, he can get hot, he can shoot the ball well too. The defense you're talking about. So, and then Gordon, he's been there as a guy that we've seen him get hot and get 40, and we've seen him have some big games, but we've seen a lot of games where he's kind of been, an afterthought in the offense as far as how games have flown, whether it's been Terry, Melo, and Miles, and then Gordon comes in with his 15, 16. So I just want to chalk this up at this point to it just being just a bit of adversity teams are going to go through in a long season in this era with COVID protocols, and the Hornets have real injuries, as well. So I think that hopefully tonight they come out and show better. I normally like the way this team responds to a loss. So we'll see tonight. I think tonight will answer some questions. They've got some barometer games coming up this week when you talk about Boston and then Cleveland and Miami. So I think we'll definitely get some answers to our questions this week.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a good point. We'll continue to talk about the Celtics game tonight, but first, let's talk about PrizePicks. All right, NBA fans, I know you were looking for a daily fantasy option for the NBA, and if so, you need to try the award-winning app, PrizePicks. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. I love this. I know you will too. It's really easy. You pick 2 to 5 players on PrizePicks and over/under on their projections, and you can win up to 10 times on any entry, and it's just you versus the projected numbers. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's that easy. It's not all that time consuming, and you have some more skin in the game. It's a lot of fun to watch any contest that evening, whatever is taking place. PrizePicks is awesome to be a part of. For a limited time, PrizePicks has an exclusive no-brainer of an offer for all of our users. Users get $50 for free if a player in your first PrizePicks entry scores a single point. But you must use code NBA. That's right. This is an exclusive offer available to Locked On fans. Sign up today and use code NBA, $50 for free if a player in your first PrizePicks entry scores a single point. Also, you know what season it is. It's about to be tax season, so make sure you're paying attention to all of that. People think unusual circumstances mean complicated taxes, but for TurboTax Live experts, that's what makes things interesting. We all have unique lives, whether you invested in crypto for the first time this year, own an up-and-coming small business, or are raising rambunctious twins, maybe just raising one kid. Luckily, TurboTax Live has experts who can answer your tax questions, walk you through the whole process, or do your taxes for you from start to finish. They help you get every deduction you deserve, no matter your unique situation, and you can talk to a TurboTax Live expert through your phone or computer without leaving your house. TurboTax Live experts are here to help you however you need, and if you need an extra hand your taxes off to them, and they'll do it all for you. To TurboTax Live experts, an interesting life can mean an even greater refund. Visit TurboTax.com to learn more. You do your thing. They've got your taxes. Intuit TurboTax Live. More of this game against the Charlotte Hornets. Charlotte Hornets playing the Boston Celtics. That's coming up on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
You are listening to the Locked On Hornets podcast.
And Doug, don't you have an Eldon Campbell like stuffed animal type thing?
I got it at the last regular season home game that they had before they left for New Orleans.
I love me some Eldon Campbell, but is that the guy?
They were clearing everything out of the house because it was whatever they gave to the fans that night, they didn't have to take with them to New Orleans.
Get more Hornets analysis on LockedOnHornets.com.
If the Hornets continue to struggle from deep.
Wes, hold on, we have to address.
Oh, no.
When no one could see it, even the people on YouTube couldn't see it, but Wes was getting into that bump jam that we were playing.
Was he? That's excellent. So you like the beats that we're dropping here every day, Wes. There you go. You can only check this out on YouTube. By the way, I don't know why I just did that whole segment. I'm going to lift this mic up. I mean, get this thing out of here. I mean, I don't know.
The double mic, man. The double up.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of people that don't even want one mic in my face, let alone two. So I'm sorry about that. Let me pop that thing right back up. If they struggle again from deep tonight against Boston, then there is one thing going in the favor of Charlotte. It's their fast break opportunities. They're second in the NBA, scoring 16 fast break points per game. And Terry Rozier leads the Hornets, averaging 2.9. Maybe not somebody I would have thought. Maybe transition threes would come into play there, but not exactly the guy that is going to go dunk it on you and finish in the paint. Terry Rozier does lead this team, though, in fast break points, averaging 2.9. Wes, is that the key? Even if they struggle shooting from deep, are they going to have to try to get out in transition as much as possible?
Definitely. We're talking about the top team in the NBA as far as transition buckets, and that was one of the things that plagued them against the Clippers as well. The Clippers did a good job of limiting that to a degree. So they need to do that, and they need to continue attacking the paint. That's the number one thing you have to do when you see your shots not falling. LaMelo's been doing a lot of that lately. Miles has been up there when you're talking about NBA forwards and points in the paint. I believe he's been averaging around 10, 11 points in the paint per game over a 10-game stretch. So they just have to continue to be aggressive. I definitely believe in sports in general, you make your own luck. So I think that, if you realize early on, hey, we're not shooting the ball from three as much, you have the athletes and you have the spacing because of how you play, that allows you better chances to get to the basket. And then once you start to do that, you start to break the defense down from inside out, and then you can dish and find guys for some open threes, and hopefully they go down.
Yeah, it's really important in this game against the Boston Celtics because the Celtics do one thing very well, and that is defend in the half court. They're fourth in the league this season, according to Cleaning the Glass, in points per possession allowed. In transition, though, all transition, they are actually 17th in the league in points per possession. It's because they turn the ball over a lot, and when they turn the ball over, that's easy transition points. Off live rebounds, they're a lot better at not allowing those transition buckets to happen. So, the Hornets have to be aggressive on the ball. That's Terry Rozier, that's LaMelo Ball creating those steal opportunities and manufacturing offense, because Boston is not going to give you a lot of easy opportunities in the half court. And I also don't think there's one other thing that happened in that last Boston game that they won that I don't think is going to happen again, and that's Jason Tatum having just a completely off night. That allowed the Hornets to win that game. And so I think Jason's going to remember that game, and he's going to play a lot better, and the Hornets have to be ready for that.
Yeah, I think he absolutely will. In fact, I think it was the very next game they played, or maybe it was 2 games after that against the Wizards, where Tatum was absolutely flames from deep, and they've been playing better in their last 5. They've won 4 of their last 5, had a bad loss to Atlanta on the road, but Atlanta has been playing very well recently, having beaten Charlotte as well. They beat the Boston, actually beat Miami 122-92, and so
shorthanded Miami team. They were missing a lot of players, but yes, hopefully Miami's missing those same players when the Hornets play them a couple nights from now.
They could catch that break for sure, and so we'll see what they're able to do against Boston tonight. Is there anything you remember, Wes, from that Boston game that you would like to see replicated in this matchup on the road once again?
I mean, I would just like to see you talking about the very last time they played them, right?
Yeah, just the last time that they were able to play, and then you see Jason Tatum missing those shots for sure. We would like to see that happen once again.
And then he got in foul trouble too, right?
Yeah, and so they won 111-102 last time. I'm trying to pull up the box score here real quickly. It was Terry Rozier who hit 6 of 11 from 3. Miles Bridges 9 of 17, hit 22 points, and then it was Kelly and Jalen combining for 30 off of the bench. And I guess that's going to be the problem, right? Like, if hopefully Kelly goes, at least that's what we've been hearing, that, as you mentioned, Doug, from Rod Boone, kind of putting that out there earlier today. They still don't have Jalen. We don't know about Gordon Hayward, I don't think, yet, but he even scored only 5 points in this last one. So I think with the way that the bench hasn't really shown up here recently, if Kelly has a little rust coming back, then you probably have to have PJ not have an abysmal shooting night. Give me 45% with a couple of threes, and maybe that'll help you in the second unit.
Yeah, they have so many guys, that they can rely on. But like you said, you do want to see those scenarios. Kelly, to me, he's had a couple of games where he's been a little bit off, a little rusty, man. But this guy, I mean, he's been so consistent for them all year. I almost bank on the fact that he's going to come in. I can pretty much pencil him in for the 16 that he averages. I mean, he comes in and he's just instant offense all the time. So, and the thing I like about Kelly too is, he is very underrated in my opinion at getting to the cup as well. I think he gets to the rack pretty good when he wants to do that as well, especially once he gets it going. So, like I said, I think that he'll come out and he'll play well. I just want to see them just play hard and really play with a sense of urgency tonight. And let Terry, you need some extra psychological motivation. Just let Terry go in there back to back and rip his team. Just keep playing for that, because we saw that the last game that they enjoyed that. Terry was enjoying coming back to his old stomping grounds and getting the win and showing them what he's evolved into here in Buzz City. So I just want to see more of that camaraderie and guys just come out and just really play like they're upset that they lost that last game to the Clippers that I felt they shouldn't have lost. Especially Kids Day.
Yeah,
man, not in front of the kids.
Not in front of the babies. Come on,
someone think of the children. Keys to the game for me: get physical with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown early. That's what helped them against Tatum. Tatum was just missing shots, but also they frustrated him early in that game and really kept him from getting into a groove. So that has to be the focus of the defense early on. And then, Boston does not have an elite bench. I mean, it's Grant Williams, it's Schroeder, it's Josh Richardson. So, that's not they rely on those guys pretty exclusively off the bench. So that's beatable. So hopefully Kelly Oubre comes back in this game and gives them the shooting punch that they've been so desperately missing, and they get the win against Boston. I'm ready to wear the big dub hat again.
Yeah, we need it. I think that would be great. By the way, this was the last game that James Bouknight wasn't really in the rotation at any point. It was the very next time that he would go play against the OKC Thunder, and has even received more minutes after that. So as we talk about that bench, Kelly Oubre coming back, is that enough to keep Bouknight
It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see if he gets any minutes.
Yeah, something to watch for. All right, that'll do it for Wes Wednesdays. We got to move on. I'm going to go solo. I've got something else we got to do, and so we're going to put this interview out there on YouTube, so make sure you check us out there. You can watch Wes leave immediately upon starting the show, and then he comes back in a San Francisco L type of shirt. I'm sorry about that, man, but hey, at least they had a good regular season, right? At least they were able to get back in there. Sorry about that. We'll let you go. Wes got range. Follow him on Twitter. Follow him on the gram. We appreciate it, man. We'll see you next week.
No doubt. Catch you fellas, man. Love y'all.
Absolutely. Appreciate you hopping on. We love Wes, too. I'm sure the listeners do as well. Let's talk about Built Bar, something else we love. It's the new year, so that means New Year's resolutions. If yours is about getting fit or eating healthier, make sure you include Built Bar in your plan. Built Bar is the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar and maybe even better than a candy bar. That's because all of them are covered in 100% chocolate, but they're low in calories, they're low in sugar, they're low in carbs, but they're high in protein and they're high in fiber. So go to Built.com, use promo code LOCKED15, and get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. I'm going to go over Bobby Marks' audio. I got to talk with the ESPN front office insider yesterday. Got some clips for you. Want to talk about what he discussed with the Hornets just after around the trade deadline. So we'll get to that in just a moment here on the Locked On Hornets podcast. Back here on the Locked On Hornets podcast, I still, just watching back those two clips, I still don't even know what to do with this microphone. Like, I look like I'm a pilot. I don't know if I go like this. I mean, I don't know if I'm supposed to just act like I'm speaking into two mics. I don't know what looks better, what looks less ridiculous, whether to wear it back. I'm just gonna go the pilot route. I'm just gonna talk to you, tell you how many feet we are. Feel free to move above the cabin. That's where I'm going to roll with. And I appreciate you hopping on. You can't see me make a fool of myself unless you join us on YouTube, by the way. Locked On Hornets. Put it in the search bar. Check us out. We're getting closer and closer to 1,000 subscribers. I want to talk about my conversation with Bobby Marks on 7:30 The Game, ESPN Charlotte. You can go check out that on the website, espnclt.com. I don't have the ability like Doug does. He's a wizard behind the scenes. I don't have the ability to play the sound bites like I might, like I thought I might. But what Bobby Marks was talking about with the Charlotte Hornets regarding the center position, regarding what they're going to do at the trade deadline come February 10th, it made it seem like they're just not going to make a move. And it makes sense to not make a move, especially with Miles Turner and especially with his recent injury. I would love to have talked with Bobby a little more in depth on what would have happened had this injury not occurred, because that's when full steam ahead, everybody wanted a piece of one of the best defensive centers in the league, who also could stretch the defense himself by hitting a lot of shots from beyond the arc. But then again, you see him really struggling now from the perimeter, and then you see the stress reaction in his foot. He got into a story about Ronnie Cycli, which is all the reason in the world you need to go to the website and check out the interview, but how they traded for him. And he had this foot injury. They thought, okay, hopefully he'll be back within, I don't know, some kind of time frame, and he never did anything after that. We know that foot injuries can affect big men maybe a little differently. And when you're carrying that kind of weight, maybe it's something to be a little scared of. You know, I kind of looked at it as an opportunity. You know, when that news came out, Adrian Wojnarowski is tweeting out, it really kind of puts a stop to a lot of the interest in Miles Turner. And I thought about it the opposite way. I thought, wait, is this just going to be a reduced price tag to where now the Hornets or any other franchise can take advantage of it? But you got to pay him. And that's what Bobby Marks talked about, too. It's the fact that he's got 1 year left on his deal. It's not making that much money. It's a decent chunk of change. But still, you got to figure out what you want to pay him. And that's how the value has changed so much so, right? Because it's been all over the place. At first, when you talk about trading for Miles, it was, okay, he's got 2.5, 3 years left on his deal, right? This is the very beginning of all of these trade rumors. 2, 3 years left on his deal. It's a really fair price tag. The guy is still 25 or younger at the very beginning of this. We're talking about a 23-year-old that had a lot of promise, and you saw that immediately upon him stepping on the basketball court. And so it's like, okay, yeah, you're going to have to trade a lot. And then at the beginning of the season, he starts making it rain from the perimeter, and you start to see him start to turn a new leaf a little bit. You wanted a piece of that even more so, and now here comes the injury, and now it's dropped way down. I mean, it is kind of all over the place, and that's where we are currently. You know, I don't know if you're wanting to give up a James Bouknight and a P.J. Washington or a Mason Plumlee and a James Bouknight, but the price tag has to reduce if you're Mitch Kupchak, and now it might even be to the point where you're just not interested whatsoever. You wait till you get to the offseason, and then you make a move for what other big guy is out there, a different one. Bobby also talked about that kind of same way with Richaun Holmes, where you know Charlotte was interested in him in the offseason, and now Sacramento is willing to move on from him. But who are you going to trade to try to get Richaun? You know, I've talked about, you know what, maybe you trade James Bouknight, but he's becoming a part of the rotation even more so now. You know, we'll see what happens tonight against the Boston Celtics. But PJ Washington is an undersized center. I've always kind of thought that was the thing that didn't make sense, trading PJ for a Rashawn. Even if Rashawn is a much better finisher at the rim, PJ stretches the floor, and he's pretty good defensively. Is it worth giving up assets in a younger player like PJ to go get Rashawn for 2 years of good center play, but he's still kind of undersized himself? So if you're going to go get Rashawn, then you trade a Book Knight, and I don't know what else you would trade. I don't know how valuable he is right now. So Bobby loved PJ. He was saying, I don't know if that's somebody you want to include in any kind of trade for one of these star centers or one of these examples that you're talking about. And something else he discussed on 7:30 was Mitch Kupchak's patience to this point. It's different context now. The one in-season trade that he made was attaining Brad Wanamaker, which isn't going to move the needle all that much on what your expectations are this season. And so now, when you're not so hesitant to maybe make a move to try to compete in the postseason, this is going to be the most interesting in-season. This is going to be the most interesting week. Here we are. Basically, when you watch this video, we're going to be about a week out of the trade deadline. And deadlines, they bring a lot of work to them. And so we'll see if Mitch Kupchak decides to make that move, especially, with all of these health things that have happened to the Hornets too, like Kelly Oubre, been out, Gordon Hayward out, Jalen McDaniels too. Does that make it even harder to try to figure out how good you are? Because the Hornets were fully healthy and they were in the 4 seed last year. And Kupchak talked about, hey, I need to calm down. I don't want to jump the gun and lose something valuable just because I think now is the time. And so he was patient, and I think that was the right move. At what point do you lose your patience, especially when you see Kelly Oubre, you see Gordon Hayward and Jalen McDaniels? That's still a lot of guys that are out. How many teams in the NBA altogether can lose 3 important rotation pieces and still have a good stretch of basketball? And the Hornets are a little below 500. I think they're 2-3 in their last 5. But still, it's going to be tough to try to evaluate all of that. And Bobby Marks really shed some light on maybe the Hornets just don't make a trade. Miles Bridges is somebody that you got to pay. The only thing is trading PJ, like maybe you want to get out from that contract before you lose him for nothing because he is going to be extension eligible. Yeah, it's going to be really tough to see, and you've got some options this season, and you've got some options this offseason. Thanks for joining us on the Locked On Hornets podcast. Thanks for checking us out on YouTube, following us on Walker Mail, Doug Branson, LOH, and at Locked On Hornets. Thanks for making us your first listen. Now make sure your second listen is Locked On Bets. It's hosted by your boy Q with expert analysis from Lee Sterling. We appreciate you hopping on with us once again on Locked On Hornets. Have a great day, and we'll be back with you tomorrow.